I have one question, Dr. Frankenstein.
That's Frankenstein.
I beg your pardon?
My name, it's pronounced Frankenstein.
But aren't you the grandson of the famous Dr. Victor Frankenstein, who went into graveyards, dug up freshly buried corpses, and transformed dead components into...
Yes! We all know what he did. But I'd rather be remembered for my own small contributions to science, and not because of my accidental relationship to a famous cuckoo. Now, if you don't mind, can we get on with your question?
Well, sir, I'm not sure I understand the distinction between reflexive and voluntary nerve impulses.
Very good. Since our lab work today is a demonstration of just that distinction, why don't we proceed? Mr. Hilltop here, with whom I have never worked nor given any prior instructions to, has graciously offered his services for this afternoon's demonstration. Mr. Hilltop, would you hop up on your feet and stand beside this table? Nice hopping. Mr. Hilltop, would you raise your left knee, please? You have just witnessed a voluntary nerve impulse. It begins as a stimulus from the cerebral cortex, passes through the brainstem, and to the particular muscles involved. Mr. Hilltop, you may lower your knee. Reflex movements are those which are made independently of the will, but are carried out along pathways which pass between the peripheral nervous system and the central nervous system. You filthy, rotten, yellow son of a bitch! We are not aware of these impulses. Neither do we intend them to carry out our contraction of muscles. Yet, as you can see, they work by themselves. But what if we block the nerve impulse by simply applying local pressure, which can be done with any ordinary metal clamp, just at the swelling on the posterior nerve roots for, oh, say, 5 or 6 seconds. Why, you mother-grabbing bastard! As you can see, all communication is shut off. In spite of our mechanical magnificence, if it were not for this continuous stream of motor impulses, we would collapse like a bunch of broccoli. In conclusion, it should be noted, give him an extra $1.
An extra $1, yes, sir.
That any more than common injury to the nerve root is always serious. Because once a nerve fiber is severed, there is no way in heaven or on earth to regenerate life back into it. Are there any last questions before we leave?
Dr. Frankenstein.
Yes?
Isn't it true that Darwin preserved a piece of vermicelli in a glass case until by some extraordinary means it actually began to move with a voluntary motion?
Are you speaking of the worm or the spaghetti?
Why, the worm, sir.
Yes, it seems to me I did read something of that incident when I was a student, but you have to remember that a worm, with very few exceptions, is not a human being.
But wasn't that the whole basis of your grandfather's work, sir? The reanimation of dead tissue?
My grandfather was a very sick man.
But as a Frankenstein, aren't you the least bit curious about it? Doesn't the bringing back to life what was once dead hold any intrigue for you?
You are talking about the nonsensical ravings of a lunatic mind. Dead is dead.
But look at what has been done with hearts and kidneys.
Hearts and kidneys are tinker toys. I'm talking about the central nervous system.
But, sir...
I am a scientist, not a philosopher. You have more chance of reanimating this scalpel than you have of mending a broken nervous system.
But what about your grandfather's work, sir?
My grandfather's work was doo-doo. I am not interested in death. The only thing that concerns me is the preservation of life. Class is dismissed.